Hi, Catherine. I wanted to, I went over your homework and I found a couple problems in 6.2 and 6.4 that you seem to have trouble with. So I made this little video to show you how to use StatCrunch to work those problems. So we're now in 6.2 and this is problem number 15. I've already worked the problem, but I wanted to show you how I did it. And my numbers are going to be different than yours, but at least we'll show you how to work the problem. So in this one, we want to design the seats in the commercial aircraft so they're wide enough to fit 90% of all the males. So men have hip breadths that are normally distributed with a mean of 14.8 inches and a standard deviation of 1.2. And we want to find P90, which is the 90th percentile. So that would be the width, or the hip breadth rather, that 90% of the males would be less than and 10% would be greater than. So I'm going to use StatCrunch, and I'm going to use the normal calculator. And it's not opening up. Let's try again. There we go. Sorry. Oh. So I opened up StatCrunch and I'm going to go to Stat, Calculator, Normal, and I'm going to enter in the mean for the men, which is 14.8, and the standard deviation, which is 1.2. And then I want a percentile, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 0.9 in here because I want to find the value in the distribution such that 90% of the men will have a hip breadth less than that and compute. And so here's my answer here, 16.3 inches. And that's the answer that I entered in here for the 90th percentile. Okay, so that's how you do that question. And then I'm going to keep this window to the side here. And then I was also going to go over question number 16 because it looked like you were having some trouble on this one. And this one's for quartiles. So this is similar to the last one. You want to find the number in the distribution of IQ scores such that 25% is less than it. So this is the same thing as the 25th percentile or the first quartile. So I can go back to my StatCrunch tool and I can just go ahead and put the information in here. The mean for the IQ scores is 100.8. And the standard deviation is 19.6. And again, I'm going to put the area or probability in this window because I want to find the first quartile. And the first quartile is actually 87.6. So 25% of adults would have an IQ less than 87.6. That would be the first quartile. All right, now I'm going to keep this open because I'm going to go now to section 6.4 and work a couple problems there that you seem to be having some trouble with when I reviewed your homework. So let's go to 6.4, and I picked problems 8 and 9. There's not that many homework problems in this homework assignment, but let's take a look at problem 8. Okay, so problem 8, and this is about the gondola. Okay, so the first part of the question says, we have a gondola that carries the skiers up, and we know that the skiers have a mean weight of 184 and a standard deviation of 37, and there's a capacity of 25 passengers. And so we want to know, first of all, what's the maximum weight if it's filled with 25 passengers and there's 3,500 maximum weight. So what you're going to do for this is, in my calculator here, I'm going to, let me change this over to scientific. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in 3,500 and I'm going to divide by the number of people that we said could go on, which is 25. So the maximum weight capacity there would be 140 pounds. So now the question is, if there's 25 passengers on there, what's the probability that that mean weight exceeds 140 pounds? Now, whenever you're dealing with a sample, you have to adjust your standard deviation by dividing by the square root of the sample size. So when I go to my tool, let's go ahead and get our StatCrunch tool up. And I'm going to go ahead and put my mean in. So my mean weight here was 184 pounds. Now, instead of putting in 37, I'm going to, on my calculator, take 37 and divide by the square root of 25, which we know is 5. So I'm just going to divide this by 5. And my standard deviation is now 7.4 rather than 37 because I have a sample of 25. And I want to know the probability that the mean weight is greater than the 140 pounds that I said was the maximum mean weight. And I get a probability of 1, which is not a good thing. So that means it's almost certain that the gondola is going to be overloaded if we put 25 people on. So what's going to happen? So they said, okay, well, let's change it now. Let's say we're only going to put 20 people on. And now when you take 3,500 and divide by 20, you get a mean weight, maximum mean weight of 175. Okay, so let's go back to our tool. And now what I want to do now is take 37 and divide by the square root of 20 to adjust my standard deviation for the sample. So 37 divided by, and I've got 20 now. Take the square root, which is right here. And now my standard deviation is going to be a little bit larger, 8.27, because I've got less people in my sample. And again, now instead of 140, remember now we said, okay, I can go up to 175. And so I get now a probability of 0.8618, which is what I entered in here for the answer to this question. And then the last part of the problem says, what do you think about it being overloaded or not? And I'll let you answer that. So I hope this might help you work some of the problems. I really wish you'd use StatCrunch. It will really save you time in terms of calculations, and you have less chance of making mistakes as you do some of the computations. So let me know if you have any further questions.